The following stories are inspired by documented paranormal encounters. Some locations and identities may have been changed to protect the people involved. These stories may be disturbing for younger audiences, and listener discretion is advised. This podcast is based on true events. Hi, I'm Brandon, he, him.
Hey, I'm B, they, them.
Hi, I'm Dalia, she, her.
And this podcast is based on true events.
I remembered halfway through. I'm still cheesing about our All-Stars concert we just had, so.
Halfway through is better than events at the end.
I sat here and I was like, I know that song. Why don't I know what name? What? I know that song.
And I don't even know the lyrics, so I was just trying my best.
I made pancakes. Sorry, we were goofing and gaffing around.
Not gooning, though.
No.
Aww. Speak for yourself. I was.
Oh, man. So,
Vibe
check. How y'all doing?
I'm good. I ate more crackers. I feel the threatening aura slowly coming down from Dalia.
Right.
Not completely gone, though.
No, not at all. No, not until I get home and I text you that I've had a proper meal.
Correct.
Then it'll be gone.
Correct.
You want to know what we had for breakfast this morning? We had orange chicken and rice leftovers from Panda Express.
Oh, hell yeah.
And it wasn't even like our leftovers.
Yeah.
I stole it from work because I get meals catered at my job, and it's not really stealing because they're leftovers and people take them home. But I like to call it that because I like to be sneaky. And so they catered way too much Panda Express, so I stole a gigantic box of orange chicken.
It's a big ass.
And then there was some fried rice too, but I didn't steal the big thing. So I was like, oh, that's a little.
I already took a bunch of orange chicken.
That greed is too much.
Yeah.
My greed is going to sicken me if I take that fried rice.
Sickens me.
That's my favorite thing to get from Panda Express. I get a plate with 2 sides of orange chicken and white rice.
Oh man, you know, ever since your story, that's why I've been going to Panda Express.
Yeah,
I've gone at least 6 times.
Express.
I have eaten Panda Express at least 6 times since.
You know what?
Then.
It's probably what I'm gonna have for lunch today.
Fuck yes.
No, yeah, I have since given Panda Express a try again, and it's good. I like it.
Good.
They did me dirty one time, but like I overall I do like the food. Like it's good.
Love me some.
I like going
food,
in and
Chinese
getting it
food.
myself. Yeah, I like to get that mango guava tea they have.
Oh, me too. That's good. Real good.
So.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Vibes
Vibes are great. We're talking about food.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I am.
I can't remember if we've done everybody or if
No, I think it was just B, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
just
was
me.
pretty sure. It's like, wait a second.
Just
I think
me.
there's more.
Vibe check for me. Swell. Excited for niece's graduation party later. Getting to see the fam. Thinking about food. Considering getting more Panda Express. Yeah, overall pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Headache's still kind of there, but it's more of like a dull throb right now in the front. No more real phlegm in my throat. Mouth is less dry as I'm waking up and being more into the day and talking more.
I'm sorry about your dull throb.
It's fine. You should be.
I consider doing a smoker's voice for that. I'm sorry about your dull throb.
How smokers sound?
When they're 70 years old and smoke 2 packs a day.
No,
they were
because
12.
when I was smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, that's exactly what I sounded like.
Love me pancakes.
We're gonna kill B for not careful. B already having trouble trying not to cough and recording.
Oh yeah, B is allergic to cats.
And what do we have?
We have 2 of them.
We have 2 very beautiful cats that B very much loves.
Yeah, I'm not the diet kind of allergic. I just get
which is
watery
good.
eyes, runny nose, itchy throat, but I'll be alright.
And thankfully we were able to get you some allergy meds still.
Yeah, before you knock my ass out.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you, though. I really appreciate it.
Of course. No, it's funny because we actually have a few friends who are allergic to cats, but like love our cats because they're big staples in our lives.
Oh, yeah.
Our cats are the best.
They
Fun
are.
fact, I'm allergic to pet dander in general. So that includes dogs and stuff too.
Oh wow, I thought it was just cats. My bad.
It's just more severe with cats, but it's pet dander in general.
That's
because cats do be stinky. I get it. Mm-hmm.
The only way that your allergies could be worse is if you were also allergic to grass. At that point, just stop. Like,
yeah, I don't have a grass allergy, thankfully. So the pet dander is literally the only thing I'm allergic to. I don't even have pollen allergies.
I'm not allergic to anything, thankfully. Like, knock on wood. I've never my mom and my sisters are allergic to cats, and I've never had that. Thankfully, I did not get that inherent trait. But no, yeah, our friend Tyler also allergic to cats, and so are his daughters, and they come over for game nights and stuff. And Tyler go, "What's up, Mooney?" And our cats are Dr. Mew and Moondragon are our cats' names.
And we had each prior to meeting each other.
Yeah, for real.
So it
now
was
sisters.
really funny.
No.
Yeah, and now the amount of times I say Muni in a day.
Yeah.
Because Mooney and Mew.
Yeah. No, same.
Muni, that means girls. Get your ass up here now.
They're both just different kinds of chaotic and lovable. Like
they really are. They're two very different personalities, but at the same time, they're both very loving.
Oh,
cats.
They're so loving.
Yeah, they don't stop loving it.
No.
I raised Mew from like birth, basically. I found her on a rooftop in Cincinnati in 2015. So the summer I graduated.
That's when we graduated.
Yeah, the summer I graduated high school, I found Mew and her brothers on a rooftop in Cincinnati. Her brothers have since been adopted over the years, but Mew has stayed with me. She had to be an outdoor cat for a little bit, and then when she became an indoor cat, I vowed she would never have to go outside again. And she loves to watch the rain from inside because she doesn't have to be in it.
Sweet girl.
No, she's so good. She loves to be picked up and carried like a baby. She lets you pet her tummy. She does not care. She's also very reserved. She's a lot quieter compared to Moondragon.
Mooney don't shut the fuck up.
Mooney don't shut up.
Ain't nothing behind them eyes except scream.
We're surprised that more Mooney crying hasn't happened while we're closed into recording room.
Yeah.
Because like that girl does not like a closed door.
No, she does not. I got Mooney when she was 2. I adopted her from a cat shelter that I volunteered at.
Yeah.
She is very... is erratic the right word for Mooney?
She's a nut. I love her.
Yeah, she's got FIV, which she's got like a weakened immune system.
Right.
And she's got lots of skin problems. She's got lots of problems in general. But she's very happy, very happy. Sweet, very loving. She will not leave us the fuck alone ever.
No,
she's basically a dog.
Like, she loves her daddy too, I swear. Like me, I'm her daddy.
Yes,
me.
you are her daddy.
Thank you for clarifying.
Father.
No, the thing is, I remember when we first got together, you were like, yeah, she doesn't really like to be picked up. Now, sometimes when I get home from work, she will scream at me until I follow her into the living room, where she'll be on the ottoman and then beg to get picked up. And so I'll carry her around for a little bit, and she'll nuzzle her face against mine, which B just saw right before this because she was doing it. And the thing is, what kind of sucks though is she got the stankiest breath, she loves to rub her like teeth against you in a loving way, and so she just gets stank breath all over your arm. And I gotta keep wiping it off, and she keep putting it back on.
And then he puts it in my nose so I can smell it.
Yeah.
And then
And then she gets too excited, she starts drooling, and so
Me too, girl.
She's just a baby.
She's got like an extra thumb on her front paws.
She's polydactyl,
right?
yes.
It's polydactyl.
Yeah, I think it's all. Well,
I've only noticed it on the front.
I think
but anyway,
it is her front ones.
she spreads out her toes and does like little grips. So if you give her a finger, she'll like grip your finger.
I'm like a baby.
Yeah, we got some good girls. We got some good cats.
Big personalities.
Big personalities. And they clash a lot too. They've gotten a lot used to being sisters, but like
Sisters are supposed to fight.
Well, one of the problems is Mooney came in and she's apparently never been good with other cats, really, right?
Not particularly.
And Mew is. Like, she's always been raised around other cats. So when Mooney first came in, Mew was like, okay, cool, new sister, let's hang out. And then bap! And then she would get bapped. And now Mew doesn't trust her, and so they go back and forth. They'll have their moments when they're fine, but like then they'll be like, wait a second. Hit. Smack.
I'm waiting for the day that we come home to them cuddling. I'm waiting for it.
We've had a couple pictures gotten taken of them where they were right next to each other, but they don't, like, if they're close enough to each other, they won't look at each other. That's how they
cope.
That's how they cope, I guess. Yeah.
Cuddle butt to butt.
Minnie grew like in a shelter like full of cats. She had to be around other cats, but like I remember that's how I picked her though, is because she came right to me, started loving on me, but the moment another cat would approach me, she'd hiss and like try to square up with the cat, be like, "No, this is mine."
Damn.
Yeah.
Sounds like the cat lottery system found both of you.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So enough about cats. Let's get into a story about a kid. How about that?
Kids.
Which I'm sure B is gonna love.
Kid.
Great. More kids. Woo!
I gotta say, like, I don't seek it out, but I will say, stories where kids are affected by paranormal activity are a lot scarier because they don't do nothing to deserve that shit.
Yep.
And they don't know no better, and so usually they're like more easily susceptible to it, right? Well, are you guys ready for this story?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Kids can be unpredictable. They can go through mood swings and have bad days just like everybody else. But what if you found out that your kid's bad behavior was being caused by something that only they could see? And far worse, what if its hold over them became too strong? I do want to announce a trigger warning for brief mentions of animal abuse. It's very, very brief. Like, there's no actual details. So, like, it'll be over and done with soon when it comes up. But, as told by the show A Haunting, I give you the tale of a boy named Man. Weston, Kentucky. Jan Foster works as a courier for a national delivery service. Her husband Dale works as a contractor, and the two of them work hard to provide a good life for their two kids, 5-year-old Cody and 16-year-old Pamela. A nanny stays with Cody during the day, but usually leaves when Jan or Dan gets home from work. One night, the nanny waits for Jan to tell her in private about some foul language that Cody had started using that day. Cody had apparently been screaming and using what Jan describes as, quote, unspeakable words, and even threatening the nanny that entire day. The nanny is obviously concerned about Cody's behavior, but Jan stresses that there was absolutely no way that he had learned that kind of behavior at home. The nanny also tells Jan that Cody had started talking to what she thought was an imaginary playmate recently. At bedtime, Jan asks Cody about his new imaginary friend, and Cody reveals that his new friend is named Man. Jan thought it was strange for his friend not to have a more normal name like John or George or Bob, but thought, as almost any parent would, that her son just had an active imagination. There weren't any kids around the same age as Cody that he could play with, and Jan just let the matter slide for that night. Later, Jan would hear laughter coming from Cody's room, but just called for him from down the hall to go back to sleep and thought nothing more of it. Even when her daughter Pamela woke her up later asking to sleep in her parents' bed, Jan just put it down to a rough night of sleep. The scratching on her walls that Pamela had claimed to hear were probably nothing more than a raccoon or some other animal close to the house, right? The next morning, Jan wakes up exhausted and goes to take her morning shower. But as she's easing herself awake under the hot water, she's startled by something falling in the bathroom. She looks out, sees it's only a shampoo bottle, and closes the curtain back. While she's about to finish up, she swears she sees the shadow of a person on the other side of the curtain. Thinking it was just her son Cody, she calls to him, letting him know that it was about time for him to start getting ready. However, when she opens the curtain just a moment later, she is shocked to find herself still the only one in the bathroom. That's when she realized that even though she absolutely thought someone had just been in the bathroom with her, the door was still closed, and she hadn't heard it open or shut once the entire time that she had been in there. To add to the strangeness, looking down, she sees a dirty shoe print on the white bath mat. She goes to Cody's room to check his shoes, but finds that none of Cody's shoes are even dirty. And even more there, Cody is playing with his toys and chatting away with his imaginary friend. The way Cody talked back and forth to the empty space in front of him really looked like he was actually listening and responding to something right there that Jan just couldn't see. "Cody, come on, it's time to get dressed," Jan told him. "I don't want to," Cody threw back at her. Jan was then taken aback as Cody marched over and flung his outfit from the bed. After that incident, the man seemed to become a more regular occurrence in the house. One morning, when told breakfast was ready, Cody angrily exclaimed that he didn't want to eat, he wanted to play with Man. He then thrashed violently when Dale tried putting Cody in his chair at the table. After trying desperately to verbally correct Cody's behavior with no result, Jan decides that the best course of action is to try and learn more about Man from Cody. Cody tells his parents that Man is 6 years old with brown hair, brown eyes, and pale skin. Cody tells them that Man came from behind a nearby park from deep within the ground. He says that a stranger had taken him from his mommy and did terrible things to him. He says Man cried and cried but never got to see his mommy again. Jan then asks, "Is Man dead?" And Cody confirms, yes, he's dead. Dale is not convinced. He thinks that Cody could just be going through a phase. Jan, however, fully believes that a ghost is communicating with her son. Jan goes to the library to try and find any evidence to corroborate Cody's story, but turns up nothing. Cody soon becomes obsessed with Man and stops interacting with the family at all. Jan, not knowing what else to do, calls an old friend of hers who happens to be a Native American shaman. I wish I just happened to know a Native American shaman. Like, okay, damn.
Just have them in the fucking...
You got me if things go wrong, right? Like...
I don't know what word I was trying to say, but rotisserie is what was going to come out.
Rotation, maybe?
No, the...
Back pocket? Rolodex. There it is, okay.
Rolodex. I was trying to say Rolodex, and rotisserie was about to come out. Oh, so sorry, please continue.
Rolodex chicken.
Yep.
Dale is skeptical but wants to support his wife. The shaman believes that Cody has invited the spirit into the house and that the only thing that could be done about it was to remove the invitation through prayer. Jan is instructed to burn sage and to anoint the entryways with oil while praying, which she does the very next day, the moment everyone else is out of the house. Miraculously, the blessing seems to work. Cody becomes more playful and responsive and actually stops talking to Man. Everything is fine for about 3 months. One day, Jan is folding laundry while Cody plays with his trucks in the hallway. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Cody just starts talking to Man again. Jan is paralyzed with fear as she hears Cody carry on a small conversation and then get very quiet. Running to Cody, Jan realizes that he now has a photograph in his hand. Like an old Polaroid photograph. Cody remains completely still and silent as Jan slips the photograph from him. He then goes completely berserk, screaming, "Give that back! It's mine!" The picture was an older Polaroid of an elderly woman and a small boy. When she asks about it, Cody says that it was Man in the picture and that Man himself had given it to him. On a day soon after, Cody threw a plate of food across the room, or across the floor, screaming at his nanny and causing her to finally quit her job. Then, when reprimanded, Cody screamed at his mother that Man said that he didn't have to listen to her anymore. Jan knew that something had a hold of Cody, and despite this, she hoped things would go back to normal on their own, but Cody was acting like a completely different person now. After the nanny quit, Jan had asked a relative to watch Cody. Jan explicitly told Cody that he was not allowed to bring Man along. While working, Jan gets a frantic phone call from her cousin telling her that she needed to pick Cody up right then and there, and that he was no longer allowed at their house. The cousin had heard a man's voice coming from the room that Cody and her young daughter had been playing. Her daughter screamed, and the cousin rushed in to see toys floating in the air. Jan doesn't know what to do now. She needs somebody to look after Cody, and she can't afford to lose her job. Luckily, she finds a daycare opening, and this time Cody keeps his promise to leave Man at home. One night, Dale walks in to find Cody cutting up his teddy bear. When asked why, Cody says that Man said it would be fun. Cody is then caught by his sister Pamela trying to smother the family cat in the couch.
Damn!
Once again because, quote, Man said it would be fun. One morning, Jan finds that Cody had urinated over all the clothes and toys in his toy box. When confronted about this, Cody attempts to attack Jan by shoving her over. Jan is now becoming fearful of her 6-year-old son. Everything had gone wrong so fast, and her and Dale are at their wits' end. Until one night, Cody wakes Jen in the middle of the night, terrified because his bed was shaking. For the first time in a long time, Jan feels like she had her son back. After waiting until Cody falls asleep in her arms, she gets up and goes to investigate Cody's room. She wanted to know what her son was going through. She lays down on Cody's bed, trying to put herself in his place, and hoping that man would communicate with her. Hearing a creak, she jerks her head over to see Cody's silhouette standing in the doorway. Thankfully, or thinking he just got lonely and came looking for her, she calls him over and wraps him up in a big hug. But something was wrong. Cody's body started growing taller and wider, wrinkles and veins appearing all over his now naked body. Red eyes bore into hers as this entity that so closely resembled her son only seconds ago starting laughing demonically. A sudden realization washed over Jan as she started screaming. This was man. Suddenly, the thing vanished as the light of the room flicked on and her family flooded in. They had been awakened and panicked by the sounds of her screams. After getting the family calmed down as best she could, through tears and sending them back to bed, only her and Cody, the real Cody, were left in the hallway. Cody put his little hand in his mother's and squeezed it reassuringly. He looked at her as if to say, See, Mommy, it wasn't me. Jan told Cody that she too saw a man as they both held each other. Jan knew that something had to be done about this thing in order to protect her family. She considers packing up the family and moving, but she knows it won't do any good. Man follows Cody everywhere already. Jan once again calls her Native American shaman friend to tell him that man was not in fact a little boy's lost spirit and was actually something a lot darker. The shaman realizes that this was the reason the blessing hadn't worked the first time, and tells Jan that she needs to bless the house again, but this time she needs to focus on ridding the house of an evil spirit. Jan is unsure if it'll work, but does what her friend tells her to do. After finishing the outside of the house, she moves indoors and finds her house is now inexplicably cold. Way colder than it should be. The whole blessing, Jan feels like she's about to break. She's constantly waiting for the house to shake or for the windows to break or something. But thinking of her family's safety, she presses on. And once she finishes the blessing, she can feel that man is gone for good this time. Cody's mood and attitude changed immediately. And although the occasional odd noises and feelings of being watched do still occur to this day, man has still yet to make another appearance. So here we have an example of the opposite of how my story in the last episode went, where they were able to at least, it doesn't sound like banish it completely, but at the very least subdue something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What are your guys' thoughts on this one?
I have a 6-year-old.
Yeah? Yeah, you do, don't you?
I have a 6-year-old. However...
You said that like I lost something once.
Well, because the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, how old is this baby? Did he say in the beginning of the
6
story?
and then
you
16,
said
yeah.
6, and I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. So listen, my daughter, she's autistic and she's traumatized. So some days are a little rough. And I'm sitting here thinking like, is my daughter possessed? And then it's no, she's autistic and has PTSD. You're fine.
And I kind of see what you're saying, because at the beginning of the story, the things that are happening at first, it does really just sound like it's just a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
something different. Like, obviously, a parent would know, like, if something's different about their kid, if there's...
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least on the outside, at first, it does seem like it's just normal kid stuff, them growing up, but then you start having things happen outside of just this kid's behavior, like the dirty footprint on the floor would have sent me over the edge a little bit, like immediately.
Yeah,
I would have not been able to rest. I'm like, no, that happened. Where'd that come from? You know?
Right.
They didn't say how big the foot was. Did it show
They
in
didn't.
the show at all?
Yes, it does. I just can't remember.
Was it kid size?
I can't remember.
No.
I think they said it was a boot print, didn't they? Hold on. Let me talk about...
So, muddy boot print?
Yeah, talk while I find this out real quick.
Because I remember that it was a muddy... She checked the son's foot after, like, the shoe after
Yeah,
that,
she did check...
Which means it was probably a smaller boot print, I guess.
I don't know. Regardless of what size that boot print was, I'd be checking everyone's feet in my house.
It said a dirty shoe print, so maybe not. But yeah, if she checked her kids' like shoes, I mean, I would have either way, like you said. But
yeah, I mean, he could have been showing himself as a little kid to the little kid.
I definitely think that's what happened
And
at first. Absolutely, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think to Cody, man was a child for a while.
Yeah,
And then after a while, I think specifically after, I don't know, because it almost sounds like the beginnings of like possession of this child, like the way that things were happening, right?
Yeah.
No, I can't find a picture of that specific time in the episode. But yeah, any more thoughts before I get into pictures about this one?
Shoo-wee mama.
I'm just glad that like the cleansing, the blessing, the walkthrough, that it seemed to work this time.
Yeah.
I honestly would love, because here's the thing about this, and we all obviously we say this in the intro. We don't hear it, but like you guys hear the intro, how identities and stuff are protected to, like, sometimes change to protect people involved. This is one of those stories where like the people who were on camera telling the story were in shadow, like they didn't want people finding out, which obviously
Same.
I would understand too. Like I would get it, like I completely get it. So I don't know if they've come public since then, but I don't really want to do any digging since that was their initial thing.
It's hard to come out and speak out about that stuff too, because there's such a negative stigma around it.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, you're crazy. You're just seeing. You're on drugs.
Or because it involves a kid also. Yeah. Like, oh, you're just you're just abusive or whatever. Like, spinning it that way. I completely understand wanting to be anonymous with this one. You good over there?
Yeah, I was sliding. I was sinking into the couch.
You're okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so I got a couple pictures. Both of them are from the actual episode. Again, because this family did not come out publicly with this. And so the best thing I could think of is to just show you from what was actually depicted, right? Where is the folder? Give me 1 second. Oh no. Messenger is doing a bunch of the things it does. Here it is. Okay, so this first one is the photograph that was shown of Cody to have of the old lady and supposedly man. So this is what Cody, at least at first, was seeing.
Is that the actual picture?
That's not the actual picture. That's just depicted in there.
Gotcha,
a haunting, at least at first. I don't know if I can't remember if they did, like, as seasons went on. But a haunting was really big on. They would just do they didn't do like real stuff, and who knows if they even still had that picture, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I don't think I would.
I wouldn't.
Oh no, I
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
keep
burn
anything from this shit.
Yeah.
So that's the picture. That's what apparently man looked like to Cody at first, and then I'm about to send you the clearest picture I could get of like what man showed himself to be to Jan. So here's what it like. This was.
Oh fuck that.
During that kind of like transformation.
I thought you were gonna say wood.
Oh damn! No, absolutely not.
That's scary.
Yeah, like, and as you can see, he's kind of like looking down because that's where she was. He's growing taller than her.
Yeah,
and like just a large, and that's I don't like things that change like that anyway, especially because it's like it's showing you. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to get close to your son. I don't like that.
No, that just gave me chills. Don't say that.
No, yeah, but that's what it is, you know. So that's what I got for today. Dalia, how many stories do you have for us?
I just have one.
Just one? All right.
So I'm just gonna hop right to it.
Sure.
This allegedly true encounter is from Reddit, and I call it the unassuming strangers. So let's get into it.
I don't like how strangers.
I hate it already.
I don't like how strangers plural. I don't like that.
Yeah.
One stranger's bad enough.
Yeah. OP starts out by saying, a synopsis.
Okay.
My friend and I had a possible mind control / alien / paranormal encounter at our job. It's not...
Excuse me?
They said it's not scary, but it's 100% true and 100% bizarre.
Not scary my ass. Like,
Excuse
I'll be the judge of that. Like,
right.
So, this happened to both me and a friend / coworker a few years ago. It was utterly surreal, not just due to what happened, but because of our bizarre reaction to it. Honestly, it's so strange I began to question my own memory of it. But recently, called up my buddy and he confirmed everything about it, and even reminded me of a few things. But we also remember one thing drastically different. But I'm sounding vague, so here goes the story. This would have been 2012 or 2013. Maybe it seems strange I can't recall, as you'd think you'd remember the weirdest thing you've ever experienced, but bear with me to the end and it'll kind of make sense. So we worked for a newspaper, both as graphic artists. The building itself was a 3-story building built into a hill, meaning the second story, from the front entrance, was the main / ground floor for half the building, with the first floor submerged as a basement, conference room, IT department, studio, bathrooms, and a common area. The second / main floor being the lobby, atrium, and general office areas for sales, distribution, graphics, marketing, more bathrooms, conference rooms, media rooms, etc. And the third floor being the publisher, writing staff, photography, HR, blah, 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 blah. 65% of the building being dedicated to these floors areas, with the remaining 35% being the actual presses, assemblies, supplies, dock, etc. I hope that description makes sense.
Yeah.
Just trying to give a general concept of the way the building was divided and looked. If you walked into the building from the parking lot, as a layman, you'd enter a glass entrance with a 3-story, true ground level second / main floor and third lobby, with 60% of the building. There's a lot of percentages here.
right.
With the bulk of all personnel to the left, and the press area / warehouse was to the right. So, in the lobby, there were open stairwells that led to the basement and first floor and third, as well as an elevator to the right. The staff that worked there would be, I'd estimate, around 150 people. Not too large, but not small. However, due to how compartmentalized everything is, it was easy and natural to know everyone and where they worked. Basically, we'd both worked there for 5 to 6 years and knew the building inside and out and knew everyone that worked there, with natural turnover, by appearance, if not by identity. I've stated all this to establish that what transpired was completely out of the ordinary and unexplainable for either of us. So, this was roughly midday, and we decided to take a break, walk to the vending machine to grab a snack, and chat / bitch about work or plan weekend hangouts, whatever. There were 2 vending machines in the building, one in the basement common area and another on the far side of the building in the press assembly area. We chose to go to that one as it was further away, meaning walking to it afforded a longer break from our job duties, and more private as the production side of the building was more scarcely staffed. We'd walked from our cubicles in the middle of the main / second floor office area of roughly 72 cubicles and additional office rooms, as in fairly crowded, but all faces you recognize, into the large lobby and past it to begin down the hallway to the press room, when a line of people, and when I say line, I mean people, walking quickly in a single file, almost military cadence-esque, came swiftly toward us. The way they were walking in that line was just abnormal. We did not recognize any of these people. They were rather unassuming, all Caucasian, professionally dressed, suits for the men, then skirts for the women, youngish, like each looked between 25 to 45, slim and well built, most, possibly all, carrying old-fashioned briefcases. All of them were objectively attractive, but also unassuming, which even that seemed weird. Now your first thought may be, so what? A group of business people passed you by. What's paranormal about that? But it was very weird, and I'll try and explain why. For starters, as I said, we didn't recognize anyone. Not a face. All strangers. And yes, it's a newspaper, and ours was a creative hub for the overall New York Times company, though this took place in Alabama. So people visit occasionally on business, including groups, so strangers. But normally we'd have at least known I was mid-level management, or you'd hear office chatter about it. Also, they acted off. They walked briskly past us, and all of them in a perfect file/line, silently. No one talking, no one smiling, no one even looking at us, though they all passed within 3 feet of us. Not a head turn or a glance, and what was weirder still was how long it was. The line had to have been 20 people or more. I mean, I didn't count it as it caught me off guard and I was processing. It just, after a time you begin to notice it seems to be never ending. Even crazier, while we were in the lobby, they were coming right from the office area, which we could still see down, and no one was taking notice of them. I mean, 20 plus people neither of us have ever witnessed before, and walking oddly in single file through a crowded area. And not a single person looked up, not even once. It was as though no one could see them. And keep in mind, they were coming from exactly where my friend and I's desks are/were. So this large group of people would have somehow materialized from where we had been 60 seconds earlier, without seeing any of them. There were no rooms, save a conference room that we passed by open per protocol and unused, which could house so many, nor could they have come from the 3rd floor from that direction. So, passing by us in the manner in which they did was unusual enough, but what transpired after is even crazier. They all took the stairs down, and at the same diagonal angle too, moving in unison, and walking towards a long storage maintenance closet. Keep in mind, from the floor we were on, with our vantage point, we could see down where they were going. They were entering one at a time, pushing open the wooden door, which would slow sling close behind each person before being caught, and reopened when the next would enter. This made absolutely no sense for many reasons. The closet was a dingy, dusty, and unused with old crap in it janitorial closet, and while it was fairly decent in length, it wasn't long or large enough to hold that many people comfortably. You could perhaps fit everyone in shoulder to shoulder like a subway, but again, why? Stranger still, my friend and I just watched them. Yes, it was bizarre, and so were we, naturally gawking, but it was also kind of like we were hypnotized. Like we just stood there, docile, fully aware this was extremely strange, but almost apathetic, curious, even slightly afraid, and yet accepting. Neither of us spoke or said anything. After the last of the line had moved past us, it's like we snapped out of it, and yet didn't, as I'll explain. Immediately we began resuming our conversation about something mundane, who knows. But then, when we entered the elevator, this is all messed up here. But rather than continue to the press area for the vending machine, we turned and pressed the button for the elevator. My friend did this, and I went along with it, without even thinking why. The doors opened, we stepped inside, and pushed the down button to take us to the floor of the lobby. It's roughly a 15-second trip, but as soon as the doors closed, we seemed to have a sudden realization and snapped out of it. We were both like, what the fuck was that? We were both clamoring like idiots, both vocalizing the same idea that what just happened was bonkers. When the door opened and we both just went quiet again, whether by instinct or something else, I can't say, but we stepped out to see, from about 15 away, the last 3 to 4 of the visitors entering the closet. We walked forward, and I was able to barely peer into the room as the door opened. As the last of them went through, and I saw a lot of orange light and what looked like control panels. Now, bear in mind, I know this room is a storage closet. I looked into it many times before. It was unused, and therefore I knew what I glimpsed wasn't possible. But my emotional reaction was akin to that of being in a dream, when you know something's not right or real, but it feels normal in the moment. The door closed shut, and my friend and I turned around, took the elevator back up, continued to the vending machine, and about all we said was that was weird. We talked about it, but it was like our brains being numb on a Novocaine. We both spoke of it, admitted it was extremely unusual. We both expressed it was scary, and yet we just kind of went about our business like it was no different than seeing an everyday thing. We got out snacks, went back to our desks, sat, worked, and never even asked anyone else if they saw it. The thing is, in hindsight, it was almost as if we were not so much under mind control as subliminal control. What I mean is, I honestly don't know if I could move. I didn't feel restrained or numbed. I just recalled being still. My consciousness was also slightly off. I was able to feel and sense things abstractly more than usually. As in, when you think you hear your voice in your head and think, act rationally. Okay, I see. Telling yourself to act rationally when you hear a voice in your head. For example, when we first saw them, I got this sort of weird impression we weren't supposed to be able to see them, which, of course, is a very weird thing to feel before you even have begun to see how unusual what was happening about to take place. So, he felt this feeling before he knew it was actually going to be unusual.
Right.
I shouldn't have had that feeling at just... I shouldn't have had that feeling at just the sight of an approaching business person. Also, as I said, none of them looked at us, slightly weird, given how closely they passed us by, and given they were both staring intently at their faces as they passed. And while none of us were overtly stone-faced or distressed, I got the distinct feeling that they were disturbed or uncomfortable because they could tell my friend and I could see them. As if they knew they were invisible or something, but we could see them. And it was like they were telepathically trying to act natural. This would also explain our reaction to it, being almost like we were in a haze/daze while they passed us, and we somewhat broke free after the last one passed us and began descending the stairs. And while we went about our business, we somehow had the instinctive urge to take the elevator and pursue them. Once inside, we seemingly were further distanced from the influence, as we could suddenly burst into excited and frightened discussion of it. That also immediately ceased seconds later when the elevator doors opened, and while we advanced towards the door, I also got a sort of angered and distressed sense, like a thought in my head, that they communicated to one another we were following them. But as soon as the door closed, it's as though we both snapped out of the spell, and yet we're further under it. What I mean is, we could talk again, and again, it wasn't like I felt I couldn't talk within proximity of them. It's more like I never even thought to, despite knowing them, and obviously, since we should have been. And we talked about it, but we weren't acting like ourselves. We, as if influenced, turned and went upstairs and resumed what we were doing. So if you're reading this and asking, why didn't you open the door? I share your anger and frustration and disbelief, and the way I answer you is, I knew I should, but I was compelled to almost forget it. Like, immediately, the experience and memory became abstract, as if nearly immediately forgotten. And my friend has expressed the same feeling. We both recall talking about it as we went into the vending machines and back to our desks. And we both recall being scared inside as well as disturbed and, of course, overwhelmingly curious, and yet we just seemingly shrugged it off as soon as we got back to our desks, resumed the work, and forgot about it. It's so damn frustrating, but it's almost like I was in my body/head. I was myself, and yet I had only a minimal amount of control over myself. Not that I felt controlled or restrained, but like I was fully aware. I wasn't acting like I should be, or even wanted to be, and felt natural. So our power just went out
in the middle of your
so
story. That's crazy.
No, I had a panic attack, a little mini heart attack probably, because we're sitting here, we're listening to the story, and all of a sudden the lights flash, the computer flashes and turns off and back on. Oh, we thought we lost that this entire episode, but thankfully,
real tears.
Shout out to Audacity for, I guess, like being like, hey, you didn't say it properly. Do you want to recover it? Like, yes, please. Begging you to. Okay. So, would you like to continue your story, hun?
Sure.
All right.
So,
if they let us.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared too now.
it's a bit like that part was a bit freaky, actually.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind, there's no storms or nothing.
No, there's no
going
storms
on right
middle
now.
Of the day. Unless somebody like hit a pole somewhere, which I don't understand. Like I don't know what could have caused
right, because it was quick.
Like it's not even
off on.
Like the temperature's less than it has been throughout the week. In fact, it's going down the rest of the day and everything. Like I don't know what this could have been, but it's kind of freaky.
Electricity is powerful. I'm telling y'all.
The more I think about it, especially with a story like this, I fear. Okay, so. He continues on, basically reflecting on why he felt certain ways during these events.
Okay.
And it follows the paragraph here. It says, it wasn't for some weeks after that I began to actually reflect upon it. Meaning, I didn't forget it. It was buried in my mind, not blocking out traumas, never thinking about it. And he states that he understands that it's confusing and frustrating to read.
Yeah.
But really, that's what was going on. And when both he and his friend were seemingly capable of talking again, they confirmed that the exact same details of the event, both remembered it correctly, and both the same basic observations of that's not right. They were going through, and immediately after they talked about it. And essentially, it's a lot of words to say, oh my god, what the fuck happened? We both recall the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, I do know that they both go into it and they have disagreements on why it happened.
Okay.
So, OP thinks that he was put in some kind of like mind haze, as previously stated, some kind of subliminal something.
Right.
These entities did, okay? Friend thinks they were just pussies and that's why they didn't do it.
All right,
that's why they didn't follow him into the closet. So that's essentially...
Maybe speak for yourself, I guess.
Right, exactly. And he says, so years later, what do I think? Honestly, I do not know. I am a believer in UFOs and aliens and the paranormal. This didn't feel paranormal, but it was also extraordinary. If I had to say what I think it was, I think we may have somehow experienced a different dimension or glitch in the Matrix. So this is him reflecting upon it years later, okay?
Right.
I feel the people we saw were human, but I also know what I saw. The room bathed in orange light with panels, and felt a sort of disattachment, and that not only as the entire event inexplicable and illogical, but so was my in the moment and post-experience reactions, mentally, emotionally, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And what's also weird about the memory is you'd think something like that would gnaw away every waking thought of every single day, and yet I'll forget about it altogether for months, years at a time, until a trigger brings the memory back up. And then it's like trying to grip an egg yolk to hold on to the thought. Yeah. And he said, and yes, over a year after it happened, when something triggered my memory of it, I went and checked the closet, and it is exactly as I remembered it. Dark, cobwebbed, dank, with old officer chairs, desks or mops, etc. Just rubbish stored in it. It's a closet. That's undeniable. So what the fuck were they doing entering it? I even asked a few other coworkers, both there and management, who might know of visitors, and no one recalls anything close to what I described.
Okay, so do you know what the first thing I thought about when you started describing, as you were describing
Men in
this?
Black?
Yeah, Men in Black.
All the comments. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds like a Men in Black type story, which is usually related to alien stuff, you know?
Is. Yep.
Here come the Men in Black. Sorry.
Wonderful song.
I know.
My jam, for sure. But, like, no, because that's just so weird. At the same time, it's like, why, if so, you know? Like, the only things I can think of is, like, Men in Black alien experience type stuff. Or some kind of reality shift. Which, again, it's so out there, right? I don't know. I really don't know. Or it could be a combination of two. It could be a combination of, like, there is a reality shift and, like, there's some kind of, like, alien cleanup type deal. There's a lot of things this could be that sound crazy, each sounding crazier than the other.
This, honestly, is probably the most convincing alien story for me.
Yeah?
As opposed to, like, even the gray one that with the flashlight story I told before. Even that one, I could be like, oh, that could be, you know,
this, that, and the
sleep
other.
paralysis demon.
Right.
Even though he wasn't really paralyzed. Yeah. It could be a demon. It could be a lot of things. It
could be something.
This one, I'm like, what is the other explanation? For me, immediately, I'm like, those are aliens. Those are aliens.
And Men in Black resonates with me a lot.
Yeah?
I feel like that's what that situation was.
Mm-hmm.
So, really creepy. And I did have to cut a lot out for both time and energy because it was a lot of his inner monologue of what the fuck.
No, like there does come a point in like online stories where they're either like reiterating or just like what the fucking.
Yeah, it was kind of like he was talking in circles for a minute. So
yeah,
I do apologize that I went on and on with it for a minute.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So I do have a picture for this.
Sure.
It is a stock photo, and it's the people in professional wear. And instead of going down the stairs, they're walking upstairs because it's the closest I could find.
No, that is another weird thing. Is like there is no situation where doing any of this makes any sense. Even as a prank, there comes to be a point where it's like that's no longer making sense. Like walking into the closet. Like what do you mean?
Yeah,
with an orange light and a control panel. I think he said.
Yeah, when it's supposed to be just a dusty ass storage closet.
Mm-hmm.
And like he's saying unassuming, and it makes me feel like rather than unassuming, the word he may or the description he may have been looking for is like, crap, I lost it.
Generic.
Like generic, like unmemorable. That's the word. Unmemorable faces and stuff. Yeah. Because like that usually would be what you're going for, or what you see in these things is like, they're not specific faces. They don't want you to remember this, you know? Yep. But at the same time, if this is aliens, this is Men in Black, what is the goal? What's the objective here? What's the goal here? What's going on? Like, it almost makes me feel like you see these like alien stories and or like say it's a movie, right? And you have like a bunch of extras in the movie. It feels like we're hearing the story of one of the extras where we don't know the main plot of what happened, what just happened. We're just seeing the aftermath and experiencing them. That's what it feels like to me.
I feel like they would, like, if it was a movie, they would go back and wipe their memory real quick.
Yeah, but they almost have kind of like a memory wipe with like that kind of stuff.
Subliminal,
like where the memory is fading almost.
It's like the feeling is numb.
Yeah.
And the fact that he can't remember a single individual face, I feel like is very telling.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that they were walking 3 feet away from them and not one even blinked in their direction.
Or even, like, looked up.
And he had this sinking suspicion that he wasn't supposed to be seeing this.
Yep.
But yet still was so calm and so numb to it until he got in that sealed elevator.
Yep.
And suddenly they started freaking out. What is that?
Yeah, it almost does feel like once they got, like he said, once they got in that elevator, they were almost outside of its influence momentarily. And they could properly process for a second. But then the moment it opened, they're back in it. And it's like, oh, that sucks. Oh. No, that's crazy. That's wild. Oh, man.
Very interesting.
It's always like the second to last story that we record where you bring in something that's just so batshit that I can't like wrap my head around, you know?
See, now I gotta keep with the fucking theme.
You gotta keep, I
You're
guess.
holding me to the standard.
I guess so.
I can't disappoint anymore.
I don't think 2 could be considered like a pattern yet. So
well, you brought it up.
So you can break the pattern if you want. However, so far that's what it's feeling like, you know? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, this has been an interesting episode so far. I didn't like that the power went out during that story.
Yeah, no, that was
I didn't like how that whole time I was thinking, yeah, they're trying to like wipe their memory of it. It's probably a Men in Black thing. And then the power goes out. That might have had us lose everything we were talking about. I was like, oh shit, now they don't want us to talk about it. Great.
Yeah.
Gotta go right now.
Yep. I fear that we might be in danger, folks.
don't put that in the world. Don't put that out there.
I am joking, folks.
I fear
put
that
that
I'm
back in the work. Yeah, in the world.
All right, B, will you take us home with something?
Yes, I would love to. I did not mean to throw my dirty ass tissue on the floor.
You're fine.
Let's see. Okay, so for this story, before I read, I do just want to give a trigger warning for domestic violence.
Okay.
There's no details or anything like that, but there is a woman in the story who is escaping a domestic violence situation, and it briefly talks about that.
Okay.
The title of the story is I Know I Did the Right Thing, No Matter What Others Might Say.
Damn right.
This just happened about 2 hours ago. I'm homeless because of a brain injury that makes life difficult at times, and I get food stamps, which helps a lot. I know everyone who is homeless on this side of town, and I know a lot of people call me Pops because I try to look out for people when I can, especially if I spot someone new. Today I was walking down a sidewalk at a local strip mall, and there was a woman sitting at some metal picnic benches crying, and I could tell she was homeless due to all of her belongings. They were in a couple of bags beside her. I asked her if she was alright, and she started telling me her story. I have very kind eyes, and people just seem to open up to me easily. She had been kicked out of the house by her abusive partner, and had nowhere to go or any clue what to do out here on the streets. She was hungry, still cold from last night, and scared out of her wits. I had just finished spending the last of my stamps on SpaghettiOs and stuff like that, so I had 4 cans and a sandwich. I gave her the sandwich and 3 of the cans. I also made some calls to people who look out for victims of domestic violence because her knight in shining armor had broken her phone.
Damn.
Yeah. She had stopped crying until I gave her my food. Then she started crying again, asking me why I would do something like that, give up all my food to a stranger. I didn't know how to answer, really. I left her there after making sure someone was coming to get her, and I pondered that question, especially when I started getting a little hungry myself. It's because I have this strange belief that things will always come back around. In the 7 years I've been out here, it's never let me down. So that was my random act of kindness today. I may not have changed the world for everyone, but I did change it for someone. And then there's an edit.
Okay.
He says, so I just got a call from the people I called to come help that young lady. Her boyfriend is in jail, and she went back to the house to take her time and gather what she needs. She also got an order of protection against him. She has it worked out where she can go to a family member who's going to take her in. She made my friend call me to tell me if she ever sees me again, she's going to give me the biggest hug ever. And now I'm sitting in my old tent with tears in my eyes.
Damn. Love that.
Oh.
No, because that's what it's about, right?
Yep.
Like, you may, like what he said, you may not be able to change the world for everybody, but changing it for somebody, that's
one little act of kindness for one person.
People say one at a time, but like don't seem to realize that it doesn't have to be one at a time for you. You're just one of the time.
Yep.
And like piece by piece, we can make the world better with this.
Yep.
With this. Yeah. Whew.
Yep.
No, good. Fuckers in jail.
As for the picture that I have today, it is just a little graphic here. Let me get it sent. There we
Lots
go.
of blood in it, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No. It's a graphic for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It has the phone number listed, the TTY number listed for deaf individuals. And they have live chat as well as an AI chatbot on the website that you can talk to as well.
Nice.
There is a text line as well, but I don't have that handy on me now, but I will make sure it's added for the show notes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Yeah, that was nice. Again, another short and simple, this was a great act of
Doing something good.
And that's all it takes, is just doing something good. Doesn't matter if you can see how it snowballs. It just takes the start.
It takes nothing to be kind.
No, for real.
Absolutely nothing to be kind.
No, yeah. But yeah, that's our episode, as freaky as that was earlier. Yeah. I don't know how much I like because I hope we find out I hope we find out no, I don't hope we find out somebody hit a pole. Actually, I really do just hope it was aliens at this point. Like, I'd rather be that than somebody like getting hurt. But yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Once again, you can check out our socials. We have a link to our Beacons page, which has them all in the show notes below. It even has like special links to each of our links individually, where we each have things we do and pages we run, if you like us as people. But if not, and if you just like us as a podcast, that's good enough too.
Fine with me.
Also, remember to leave us a rating and review on our Facebook page, on the app, on Apple, on Spotify. Just send us some words. Let us know how we're doing. We'd really appreciate to hear from you. If you have any wholesome stories, if you have any paranormal experiences you had, please send them to tpibote@outlook.com. Make sure to let us know if they are for Dalia stories or if they are for these stories. And with that, this podcast was based on true events. Thank you for listening.